You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, 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 folks. It is Thursday, Friday, Junior. Sorry about that, folks. We're just having a lot of technical difficulties, so we're just gonna have to roll with it, folks. Thank you, Cosmopolitics, for rating. I appreciate it. Thank you, folks. If you haven't seen me before, great timing because we are just about to start. I am a difficult truth. I do the news. I do the politics. We're here Monday through Thursday, usually about 5 p.m. Eastern time. Today we're getting a little bit. Oh, there it goes. Yep, it's okay. It is what it is, folks. Thank you, YouTube crew. Northbound Train, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's my bot. A difficult bot. I can roll with it. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Cosmopolitics, for rating. I appreciate it. Please consider checking her out. Thank you. That is twitch.tv/Cosmopolitics. Fantastic content creator and live streamer. Thank you. We'll give it one more shot. We'll give it one more shot before before we just roll with it. Folks, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways. Keep liking the stream, okay? For those of you locking it down on YouTube, keep liking the stream. And follow here on Twitch. Make sure you join the Discord, folks. If you hit !Discord, you can keep up with the channel. And if you want to support directly, there's the merch store and !Tip. You can just support the channel directly. We'll give it one more chance, and then we're just gonna roll with it. All right, you know what? Maybe this will work. I don't know. Let's go over here. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, I mean, this works too. I'm gonna have to edit the YouTube title at the end because yeah, the title's not right. All right, awesome. Thank you, Moanep. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. All right, look at that. We're kind of okay for now. So we'll just do it like this, okay? If the camera dies, then so be it. It is what it is. But that's okay. All right, folks, let's get started. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. And thank you again, Cosmopolitics, for the raid and bringing your wonderful community over. Thank you. Once again, please go show some support and go check out their content, Cosmopolitics. There we go. Oh, I think we should probably start here. You know, I know things are pretty bad. That's a bit of an understatement, but you know, stuff kind of sucks right now, so we're gonna try to get a laugh out of Steven Crowder here. Smatty, Maddie, welcome.
Steven Crowder has come out with a new show that he's doing. It's
Court TV.
it's entitled "The Deposition Testimony of Steven Crowder."
Ah,
And so far, the first episode is fantastic. I can't recommend it enough. You can find it on YouTube, The Deposition Testimony of Steven Crowder. He dispenses with the bells and whistles, and it's just him being probably honest.
Probably. Oh man. I mean, like, I guess if you're being like set on a legal, legal deposition, yeah. I just got off the phone with my Canadian MP. Nice. Shay Ranky, thank you for the follow.
Talking directly into camera and being asked questions about his willingness to just sort of put any slop on his show if it furthers a narrative that in some way seems to dull the impact against Nazis and increases sort of like a suspicion of brown people. He was sued because he misidentified a man as the Allen, Texas shooter. You'll recall that shooting took place. When was it? In May of...
Yeah, a couple years ago. Thank you for the follow, Neon Gat. That's funny. Michael Hasser, welcome, welcome, welcome. Off to a rocky start, but we're here. So we're going to roll with it.
23.
A little under 2 years ago.
And Crowder was very, very excited because he was like, nobody has the guts to show this picture of the shooter, but I'm going to do it. Because I've got it from, I've picked up this picture from, the name of the outlet was
Africa Today.
Africa Today. That's right. Or Today Africa.
Today
I'm
Africa.
sorry.
Oh, not to be associated with nude Africa,
Yes,
right?
they're separate.
Okay.
Today Africa. And Crowder, instead of thinking like, I wonder why people aren't showing this picture, is it possible that it hasn't been verified as the actual shooter? Or is it because the left-wing media wants to censor everybody? Well, it turns out that it was actually that it hadn't been verified. But here's Crowder being asked about that in his deposition under that suit, which apparently Crowder has subsequently has settled. And I imagine that means he paid out money. It's been a rough year for Crowder in terms of paying out money, I would imagine. Being aware of divorce, and I would imagine, Crowder. Well, okay.
Crowder is going to get the ultimate form of divorced. Okay. That's what Crowder is right now. He's in the ultimate form of divorced dad energy. Ladybug, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Can I get you a coffee, Mr. Crowder? Intern stance eater.
Why is everyone spiraling over YouTube banning ad blockers? Like, chill guys, just use Pi. It's a free Chrome extension.
All right, I'm going to show you an excerpt that I want to ask you some questions about from your May 8th show. So let's play that now.
Who the shooter was first. Okay. So you're going to hear the media give you some reports. A lot of what they say is bullshit. All right. Shooter was a 33-year-old Hispanic.
Yeah, like this is the problem with like how misinformation gets spread, and how like narratives get spun, because like he prefaces by like saying like, oh, mainstream, you can't trust mainstream. Like, look, man, I know that sometimes they get things wrong, or sometimes they don't provide the full story, but like sometimes, they do. Okay. And these are one of those times because there seems to be no like reason as to why you would lie about something like this, right? The reason why mainstream media wouldn't go through with all of this is because that's not the guy.
male. His name was Mauricio Garcia. Mauricio Garcia. Now, the reason that we are pulling this, and you're asking yourself because we make the references available, we're pulling this from Today News Africa, is because it's the only news outfit showing you the shooter's face. You won't find his face in, here you go, NBC, Wall Street Journal, CNN, CBS, Washington Post. They want to tell you that he...
Like, notice how, like, also he doesn't mention any conservative outlets because they also didn't show that picture. Because he just said that this was the only place he could find that picture, but only names like more liberal leaning outlets. Yeah.
He was a white supremacist, yes, and not see his very Hispanic-looking face.
Right. And a second ago, I actually...
Like, just to also be clear, like, just because you are Hispanic does not mean that you cannot be a Nazi, okay? That dude had like swastika tattoos, okay? That dude was a Nazi.
signaled you because CNN had that lower kind of chyron.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, this guy, wasn't this guy, Garcia, didn't he have like all sorts of Nazi tattoos on him?
Yep. Yes.
And
Rising Death Squad.
had written a bunch of Nazi stuff. And we played a clip of this great episode of deposition testimony of Steven Crowder. And you don't have to be a Mug Club member to see this. This is actually, he put out, I don't know if he put it out, but it was released publicly, where Crowder had a tough time acknowledging this guy was a neo-Nazi. Now, of course, look, we know that right-wing sort of white nationalists or white supremacists or Nazis can be really, they don't necessarily have to be white Europeans.
Yeah, I mean, like, they tried to pull this because Sam's going to explain a little bit, or I should say he's going to elaborate a little bit. But, like, the Proud Boys tried to do the same thing with Enrique Tarrio, right? They tried to do the same thing with, like, Enrique Tarrio. They're like, how can the Proud Boys be, like, a white supremacist organization if the guy leading it is, like, Enrique Tarrio? Like, okay. Sock, now welcome. The Hispanic face, the Crowder has a Hispanic face. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, fascists come in all different stripes. And even amongst the Nazis, you're not going to believe this, but there was probably, the Nazis did not like gay people. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to believe this, but there was probably some gay people who were Nazis. And the reason why other Nazis are okay sometimes with like having non-white Nazis is because then they get to say, hey, we're not white supremacists.
Right.
Look at our friend here.
The cultural exchange of international fascism is fascinating because, Vicky Palladino, an NYC council person who's like 70 years old, shared a meme about throwing socialists out of helicopters, sort of like a Pinochet appreciation sort of thing. And it's interesting because a lot of these sort of like Proud Boy, which I think Palladino might be.
Oh, incidentally, when you say Proud Boy, you're not allowed to use that anymore because they just lost the lawsuit, and the black church that they harassed apparently now owns the words Proud Boy. So it doesn't mean what you think it does anymore.
Yeah, the little boys formerly
that.
known as Proud Boys. They always show like the helicopter meme in sort of silhouette because I don't think they're ready to understand that the people throwing people at helicopters were darker complexioned than they're usually willing to invite into the clubhouse to be Nazis.
But this was the shooter that I confronted Tim Pool about. He was also subjected to this, and it seems that he settled prior to having to do a
Tim
deposition.
Pool's lawyer was smart enough to say, hey, man, you should settle before the deposition because
Mr. Ravehat, welcome. I'm saying that he's a racist and he can go F himself. All right, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
you are dead to rights on this. Undoubtedly, Crowder did not listen to a lawyer or pick the wrong one because Crowder sometimes is a little more full of himself, or maybe he was just trying to impress his dad.
So cash flow might not be as easy as it was for Tim Pool after the...
Our emote's not allowed. It was just a wave emote. Yeah, they're allowed. Why not? I see it. I literally see your emote, and I don't see why it wouldn't be.
A big con sort of fallout.
Oh, that's true too. That's true too. Anyways, here's Steven Crowder. Back to this episode of deposition testimony of Steven Crowder, and I love the way they did this picture-in-picture thing. You can see Steven Crowder giving the deposition in the corner, and then having to force him to watch his own show. That must be extremely painful.
We love reaction shots.
Right, and a second ago, I actually signaled you because CNN
Cognizant welcome, Chowder. Yeah. Steven
had
Chowder.
that lower kind of chyron that said basically that this person was influenced by white supremacy. That's the headline that they're running with right now, over.
Yeah.
To make sure they drill it in.
Because it's true, idiot.
Okay, my first question is,
Anyways, how we doing today? We're chilling. We're hanging out. We're doing the best we can.
in the lead up to that show, you had been reviewing a lot of media coverage about the shooting.
Objection 4.
Yes. Okay. And that review of the media coverage showed that Today News Africa was the only news outfit purporting to show a picture of the shooter's face. Correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. That review of media coverage, that showed that Today News Africa was the only news outfit showing purported to show the shooter's face.
No.
Okay. So when you said we're pulling this from Today News Africa, it's because it's the only news outfit showing you the shooter's face. That wasn't accurate.
Sorry, what was the last part of that question?
That wasn't accurate, what you said in the video.
What I was saying was it was the only place currently with an article including the image of the shooter. Yeah.
Okay.
At that moment in time, as I believed it.
Right. So when you were making that broadcast, your review of media had shown you that Today News Africa was the only news outfit doing that, showing a purported picture of the shooter's face.
No.
Okay. I'm a little confused because I thought...
Pause it for a second. Now, it's unclear here if Crowder just doesn't understand how the questions are being asked.
Yeah, so just to be clear, like, you would not be asking questions you don't already have the answer to, because it's literally on video. It's literally on video. Found your channel when searching for discussions. Is this something you do on your streams, have civil discussions? Depending. Like, what do you mean by civil discussions? Yeah, stay a while and listen. Hang tight.
Him,
hang out.
Or if he's being purposely evasive. I think it's probably the former, because he's answering the complete opposite in the first and third question, which is a repeat of the question, as he did in the second question. And the question is, when you went on air, you said that the only place that is showing this picture is Today Africa. So I'm asking you, had you surveyed media beforehand and found that the only place showing this picture was Today Africa? Go ahead. Let's see what Crowder
right,
can
because
get this.
like that's what he literally said in the video, right? Like, just like lawyers, you know, lawyers 99% of the time are asking questions they already know the answers to. Okay, when you're a prosecutor and you're one of those or a criminal defense lawyer, 99% of the questions you're asking, it's because you already have the answer to. You already have the answer to that question.
Today News Africa was the only news outfit doing that, showing a purported picture of the shooter's face.
No.
Okay. I'm a little confused because I thought what you had just said was that at that time, that's why you said that. It's the only news outfit showing you the shooter's face. Is that right or is that not right?
It was the only place at that moment in time with an active article, including that image. Of course, there were many other places that had created or social media. So at that moment in time,
That image.
because it was a White House press credentialed reporter.
No, that's all I'm asking about is that moment in time. And that they're the only news outfit purporting to show the shooter's face. We can agree with that.
I don't.
Can you tell me the news outfits that at that moment in time were showing the shooter's face?
Fascists on Twitter.
It would be difficult to remember. It was everywhere on social media and different articles. So
No comment, chick. Welcome. Civil, respectful discussions about any topic. Really, personally, I love having civil discussions about anything between heaven and earth. So I tend to seek streamers to have respectful discussions with.
Well, look, I understand it was on.
I know what he's saying.
Yep.
He's saying he saw a bunch of his Nazi followers posting this image without any active article, as he likes to say it. So he saw it on social media. That's what he's being obtuse about.
Exactly.
Yes, all his Nazi friends were reporting it.
We're reposting it. And they're weird like blogs that no one else no one knows what this Today News Africa site is except
Probably AI generated or
it's
something.
probably an aggregator or some far right blog. And so he can say social media, or maybe Tim Pool did it first. Who knows what the sequencing is?
Fair play, nothing wrong with that. Even I do that from time to time. Yeah, I mean, like, if we you're free to ask questions depending on the relevancy of the discussion. You're free to ask questions as long as we don't get too carried away off topic.
He's referring to a White House credentialed reporter, which was Simon Atiba, this Today News Africa reporter, who was repeatedly asking right-wing framed questions in the White House press briefing room and has been a Tucker Carlson guest before. So he's kind of trying to burnish the reputation of Atiba, even though Atiba obviously was named in this lawsuit too because he was the one who published the photo.
But it's also exactly so right. He was engaging in this as well. But this is why it's so interesting. He said this image, this picture, right, to be very specific, because there were other news outlets that were reporting on the identity of the shooter.
Well, they're using the name.
And using the name and showing the Nazi iconography that was etched into the gun. But what Tim Pool and what Crowder are saying is that they wanted to cast doubt upon basically what the rest of the mainstream media was reporting about the identity of the shooter. They had come up with an alternative theory, putting this name out there, putting this photo out there, and I guess that's Bankston, right? Asking these questions.
White House credentialed reporter is not what it used to be either. True. Now, actual news, is being recycled off to Breitbart. Okay. So that's cool. If there are any specific topics that make your blood boil, perhaps it's best to confirm what topics you would like to avoid. Normally the issue is when people come in here and don't come from a base of reality, then we can't really have a conversation. Because if you're not starting off with a base of reality, then there's no point in having a conversation, if that makes sense. You're not going to have a discussion on flat earth because there's no discussion to be had, if that makes sense. So
is saying, okay, but did you have another source? Because you can see all the corroborating information for all the other established news sources that were not identifying this person. They were identifying the real person.
Social media are not media outfits, right? Just some random person on social media is not a media outfit. Correct?
No, I disagree.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
So
You're the media.
if you just came across a random account, they, ultra MAGA guy 567, and you saw the picture there, you'd say, well, look, that's a media outlet.
Yeah, it's a reporter. Yeah. Ultra MAGA 1488.
Publishing this photo. Is that right?
No.
Okay. So as far as any other news outlets that were showing you the shooter's face.
Yeah, that's total BS, man. Come on. You can't try to shoehorn in freaking social media accounts as news, okay? As actual sources. Okay? If I were to source a tweet, it would be because I want to use it as a quote from a politician who tweeted something, or it is a shortcut to get to the actual source of what I want to talk about. But I wouldn't say that random Twitter users or random Blue Sky users or random Thread users or random Facebook users are quote, the media, right?
Right now, you can't think of any, right?
I don't remember which ones, not that point.
All right.
Heat, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. I love watching these guys sweat. Me too. At least we'll get a laugh out of this. IE religion's out of scope as no religions bear any evidence whatsoever. Yeah, exactly. Crowder doesn't know what that is.
I remember that one because it was a credentialed reporter.
So what I'm really trying to get to is this line from the show.
I'm sorry, can you pause this really quickly?
Like, also, just being a credentialed quote reporter doesn't mean that you can't say or lie about anything, because like a credential reporter from, say, a far-right news outlet misrepresenting something, it doesn't matter whether or not they were credentialed, they still lied about it. So it kind of means nothing. You have to verify the source. You have to verify if that reporter accurately provided the facts, and they didn't. That's why no other news outlet picked it up.
He says credentialed reporter there. Do you think he knew that guy was a credentialed reporter before he posted this, or do you think that he knows now retroactively because it's a part of the litigation and he can't, and he's playing dumb about the fact that like he wouldn't take any social media posts at face value?
Well, I mean, I don't know about playing dumb. I think he just is.
We just took this because he was a credentialed reporter. I'd be curious if he did that due diligence before posting, whatever the Nude Africa article was publicly. But anyway, keep
Africa
going.
Today, man, not Nude Africa. Is politics out of the scope as there's no real right or wrong in personal beliefs? There absolutely is right or wrong. Like if I believe that like, say kicking out an entire ethnic minority out is a part of my politics. That's like that is absolutely qualifiable as like wrong. Sometimes I wish The Last of Us would become reality just so Steven Crowder would be eaten by zombies. So yeah, I mean, like, there is right or wrong, absolutely. Like, that's not up for discussion. If my politics, okay, directly lead to like 10,000 people dying, that's pretty objective. That's a pretty objectively bad politics. If my politics lead to I don't know, everyone having healthcare, for example, I would say that my politics would be good because it is helping a vast amount of people. You are furthering the betterment of people, and that can be measured by like, how much people don't die a year because they have healthcare, how much money and people save, right? Like you have like objective metrics that you can be like, okay, well, this is a good policy. So yeah, I don't know about that. Credentials. Okay, so credentials should be in the depositions as evidence.
So what I'm really trying to get to is this line from the show. We're pulling this from Today News Africa. It's because it's the only news outfit showing you the shooter's face. Is that statement true or false at that moment in time?
It would be false. Imagine how good healthcare America would have if they spent less on their military. Yeah, like that's an example, right? Like if your politics would advocate for, or if you're a politician, or if you're a politician, you're advocating for Medicare for all people, then that would be good politics because you're actively trying to further the betterment of people. Hi, hope you're doing all right. Just wanted to pop in. Hey, how's it going, Stampeding Snails? Welcome. Yeah, it would be. Like I was trying to say, the information is usually already there. That's why they're asking these questions, right? Like they don't ask questions that they don't have the information to. And Steven Crowder has this as well. It's not just the people asking the questions.
Could have been poorly worded.
What?
All right. So there are other news outfits showing the shooter's face at this point in time.
Objection 4.
I believe there were.
Okay. You just don't know what they are, right?
You are also the other thing is
I can't imagine
there's like 10 tech companies that come out of this for tribal organization,
then, right?
Obviously, there's a mobile social network. There's a crowdfunding of real estate. There is the merchandise, and every.
Sorry, I don't know why that's started playing.
Oh, they'll probably just go back a little.
Objection 4.
I believe there were.
Okay. You just don't know what they are, right?
Not at this moment, no.
I can't imagine they played a big role in your decision to use this photo then, right?
Objection 4.
They could have.
I mean, you can't testify to that today. You have no idea what they are, right?
Objection 4.
They could have. I couldn't testify to, for example, fact checks of the DNC when one primary source is used, other corroborating sources, because I don't remember if we check it once or twice with another source. We provide usually one.
Okay.
So wait, why would you say so? Like, if I just found some like random, I don't know, like random Twitter account that like said that President Biden is dead, right? And I report on it, and I say, a source confirmed that President Biden has passed away. And then like Steven Crowder picks it up and says like, yeah, see, Biden's dead. No one's willing to talk about it. Like, come on, man.
Okay. So it's of equal importance to have other.
You don't want to like maybe double check that just to make sure, especially with such an incident like a mass shooting. He's been dead for weeks or weekend at Bernie's. That's funny. It might behoove you to double check if they're the only source saying that. If they're the only source saying that, then you might want to just double check.
People who do.
What do you mean by that? It's of equal importance to have other people that do. What does that mean?
Meaning whether it's social media, whether it's other news outlets, there are several sources that we'll often check, but one is made available. So if CNN makes a claim and we check it and then we see that the Washington Post makes the same claim, well, in the reference, CNN may be the one that we reference, but Washington Post was very valuable in ensuring that CNN wasn't the only one making that claim.
But would you claim that one of them was the only?
But that doesn't matter if it's CNN or not. That's the thing. Like even if it's even if it's CNN, even if it's CNN, then you would still try to like double check, because if CNN's the only one reporting it, then like I don't know, man, you might want to just kind of look into that, right? There's also the way Chaya Raichek spreads dangerous misinformation. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Sources are not equal, right?
Sure, not all sources are equal, I would agree.
Okay. So we don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what reasonable basis did you have to believe that this photo was being published or was accurate? And so far I'm hearing Today News Africa, and I'm not sure if I'm hearing anything else.
Oh no, that's not the reason I believe it was accurate. I believe that everything else mentioned in the clip you even just showed was correct, as far as the age, as far as the weapons used, and most importantly, the African-American officer, the black officer who took out said shooter, which wasn't being covered. And
that's not the point. Like, if there was no issue with the reporting, then there wouldn't be a basis for the lawsuit, right? The issue is that you posted someone's a picture that is not the shooter. That's the problem.
Media coverage of it. And then there was the image that was incorrect. But all that other information was correct.
Right.
And like the whole point is you needed that image to exist, right? to build a narrative, right? To make the racist assumptions, right? That's why you put that picture. That's why you selected it. You wanted to make sure that you could find the picture of the brown person, right? So that you could make the claim like, oh, you know, the crazy mainstream media is calling this guy a Nazi, right? But look, how could he be a Nazi if he's like, you know, brown? My guy, he literally had like freaking like swastikas and like Nazi shit on him. This is not like that difficult to verify, okay? Walter, welcome. Vaquita has entered the chat.
But I'm here because my client was misidentified, right? I don't care too much about this African American.
Right, exactly. That's the whole problem. The whole problem is that you put a picture of the guy that wasn't the shooter, dude, and that's why you're here. Yeah, this is rocket surgery.
Police officer or whatever, right? Like,
that's fascinating to me too. I was just wondering, like, does like Crowder thinks this lawyer is here because he's some type of lib who's like he's in like some type of debate, like change my mind.
He's a social justice warrior.
Dude, you're getting deposed because you ruined somebody's life because your desperate desire to protect the sort of reputation of this killer as not being a Nazi.
Well, and also to feed his Nazi baby birds and his audience the first photo of a brown guy that they can scapegoat and tell the media is doing, the Lugan press is doing lies against
Nazis, because the sequencing is important. I just wanted to get this clear from HuffPost. 2 days after the shooting, May 8th, media reports began to trickle in about the shooter's ties to the neo-Nazi movement, including his tattoos of a swastika and the SS lightning bolt of Hitler's paramilitary force.
Yeah, like, dude, case closed, bro. Like, there's pictures of this stuff. But no, you wanted to put the picture of like the wrong guy, of the wrong guy to spin that narrative, right? That like what, brown people can't be Nazis? Okay, dude. Sorry, I just liked the numbers in the sequence. It was 55 minutes, 55 seconds with 55 viewers. Look at that. Wow.
Forces. The shooter had a social media, blah, blah, blah. So that's the sequencing. And Eric Toller, a former researcher and open source research outlet, Bellingcat independently verified the killer's social media website and posted details on Twitter. Following those new details from Toller, prominent right-wing voices, including that of billionaire and ex-owner Elon Musk, floated conspiracies denying the shooter's neo-Nazi background. That sequencing is incredibly important because what Crowder is saying in this deposition is despite Toller, who I think is now with the Times, and other reputable outlets, in the 2 days after the shooting, verifying this and coming up with the identity and saying that he had these neo-Nazi ties, they came up with an alternative story, and that alternative story affected Bankston's client. And was Bankston's client.
All right, should we just listen to a little bit more of this? I mean, it's fun. It's a fun episode, and he's put the work in, so we might as well watch it.
I miss some of the other guys. Can they bring in the guy that's like slouching in the chair?
Oh, actually, you can see one of the guys has his own spin-off episode called whatever it is, whatever that guy's name is. Jared's
the Charisma Hour
deposition testimony.
Care too much about this African American.
If only he was the ex-owner of Twitter.
American police officer or whatever, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, the whole point of me having you here today is to try to figure out, did you have any basis to think this thing was real in terms of this picture? In terms of this picture, all right. And I'm here in today's News Africa. Can you tell me any other reason you had to think that it was real?
All of the other, no, what I'm saying is that all the other reporting information was correct, and a White House press credentialed reporter also included an image. Everything else reported was correct. The image was incorrect from the White House.
Okay, but like nobody bothered to check that, and now you ruined somebody's life, right? Tina, welcome. Welcome. Tina rating in. Thank you so much. I appreciate the raid. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Tina, for bringing your wonderful community. Folks, yes, please consider checking out the channel, twitch.tv/Tina_2. If you haven't done so, go show her some support, okay? Go check her out, please. Thank you. Yes, go follow Tina. Please do. Thank you for bringing your wonderful community. Folks, if you have not seen me before, I am A Difficult Truth. We do the news, we do the politics. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you enjoy your stay, folks, hit the follow button and join us. Maggot Food with 200 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. I wish he was the X owner. I mean, he kind of is, right? He's the owner of X. But all these people are lethal psychos. Indeed. Welcome, Mouselander. Holding it down on the YouTubes. That's right. Subscribe. Join the YouTubes. If you're on the YouTube, keep liking the stream, okay? Follow Tina. Follow Cosmic Politics, okay? Fantastic, folks. Thank you.
Press credential reporter.
All right, put a pin in that. We're going to come back and talk to you.
You know,
But it's why did you pick that reporter?
You know what's interesting is all of these moves that the new Trump administration is making to kick out the Washington Post and the New York Times from the press briefings and credential.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to
OAN
sign
people.
up for that actually if we want to.
So I wonder if we'll get accepted, but it's a nice thing because you can apparently use it to defend it in court, like OAN says.
Oh yeah.
It turns out
Maybe
not
not.
necessarily.
Right, because as I said, in that
Another gamer guy. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Crowder looked like he's in the lawyer's lobby to talk about his divorce.
sequencing, you know who else is credentialed? All of the media outlets that were in the mainstream that were reporting the shooter's identity before he came up with this alternative story.
Well, you know, from just as a media critic, let me just say that
you know how awesome it would be if like the Majority Report got access, because like supposedly some of the initiatives that the Trump administration is doing regarding media and press access to the White House is that they want to rotate and have a front row seats with, quote, alternative media that include podcasters, social media, like YouTubers, for example, or say streamers. So the Majority Report would kind of fit that bill exactly. Of course, I don't expect that the Trump administration, the moment they freaking do a background, the moment they do a freaking background check on Sam, that's not getting through. Okay, they're gonna look at one Majority Report video, and they don't even they'll look at like the thumbnails of like the Majority Report channel, and like that would be the end of it. Okay. Maybe if Sam makes like a fake new channel and doesn't post like very little, I don't know. No, they probably wouldn't give it because it would be like an obscure channel. But yeah, I seriously doubt that they would give somebody like the Majority Report access to the White House, because the type of questions that they would get would be a sight to see. Not to say that I wouldn't want to see that, because I would actually pay good money to watch Sam Seder or Emma, or even Matt Binder is a journalist. Matt Binder does articles asking the tough questions. Anybody who's a fan of the MJ, I'm a fan of. Appreciate your coverage. Thank you. Appreciate it. Can you imagine Sam in the White House? I can. It would be awesome. They would give him hell for sure. Exactly. And that's exactly why he will never be in the White House. But hey, that would be really cool if they like maybe don't look into it too much, because like if there's like one key consistency about the Trump administration, is just like pure freaking incompetence. So like what if they actually don't vet the rotating like front line of like alternative media? What if they actually don't vet that, and you get like people like Hassan or like the Majority Report being able to ask questions? Actually, that would be freaking awesome. Trump will look anything on Sam, one look at Emma, and he's out of there. Nasty woman, nasty questions. Rotating in alternative media is just a fancy way of replacing reporters with ego fluffers. Exactly. Well, it's already happening, right? Like Breitbart got like a spot. Breitbart got a spot over NPR and a couple of others that were cycled out. They would never let a POC in. It would be Bizarro World, but they are pretty incompetent, so it could happen. That's what I'm saying. Like I could see, I'm playing like what if here. I'm playing a big game of what if, but like if there's one thing that is very consistent about the Trump administration is just incompetency. So, that would be hilarious. Okay.
We already knew that Crowder had to pay out for that lawsuit. So the episode of him releasing the deposition, I know he didn't release it, but he did go through the time of actually recording it. Well, he didn't actually do the recording, but he performed for the deposition.
He's an artist.
I would have tried to like make it more of a cliffhanger. But it turns out Crowder, despite the fact that his entire brand is on, how we correct things, and also
I'm surprised the word fluffers made it through. I don't know. Automod's weird. Automod will stop like random words that may not really like be bad at all. But it'll let stuff in like fluffers. I don't know. Listen. I don't touch the Automod, so it kind of just is. Okay? Automod just is.
Be clear with this is that this isn't they made a mistake.
Yeah.
And they had the opportunity to retract it, and they didn't. They were adamant that they weren't going to. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. I think we try to be very cautious.
I think in some places it's slang for farts. It's a fun word.
And what happens is we sacrifice. We're not necessarily the first person to report stuff because we want to make sure that what we talk about, and to the extent that we report on what other people are reporting, that it's accurate. And so there you go.
Every time there's a shooting in this country of any kind of high profile nature, Crowder does his next show blaming a trans person or some other minority group on it, even regardless of what it is, to try to stop this a snowballing effect of like, hey, why are all these like right wing guys doing massacres with AR-15s and whatever? It's his job. He sees it as his responsibility to try to mute any sort of criticism in those key moments. This is not the only.
I mean, I fluff my pillow every night before I go to bed.
Shooting he's lied about.
And that reminds me, Banksing was on with Lance from the Surfs. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I saw a little bit of it. People should check out that episode. If you are somebody who is gay or lesbian or trans and has been targeted by libs of TikTok or these other right-wing outlets, please contact Mark Bankston. He may take up your case and you may not need to pay anything up front if it's severe enough. So this is the kind of thing we need to do.
I like that. That's pretty freaking awesome. Yeah, like hurt these people right where it hurts. Their pockets. Like that's literally like one of the main things that they care about is their pockets. I was watching a stream and it auto-modded me so many times the streamer made me a moderator. Oh my god. As long as it's not a My Pillow.
These people who are trying to go after and attack just regular people to deflect, or whatever, to direct hate at them, this stochastic, I can never say it, terrorism thing.
Stochastic.
Just contact Mark and see if he would be willing to take up your case. He was saying that to Lance, and I think it's a really good advice.
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome, man. Like, just bury these people. Like, especially if they're as severe as this. Burying these people with lawsuits is pretty is a pretty good tactic where it can be employed. I mean, it's one of like the most one of the most important things that they care about. So stochastic, exactly. All right, folks. Now we gotta kind of hunker down for these last couple of stories.
Donald Trump may very well have gotten the United States into another war. This is the type of rhetoric that will unite, that can feasibly unite the Middle East, right? We have heard from MBS of Saudi Arabia denouncing what Donald Trump has said. We have heard, obviously, from Islamic militants, from the Palestinian Authority to Islamic Jihad to Hamas, who have all understandably denounced what Donald Trump has said. We have heard Iran denouncing what Donald Trump.
Yeah, like, just to be clear, for those of you that haven't seen, Donald Trump said, like, the most absolutely, like, I mean, like, we're not even on this universe type statement, like, saying that the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and presumably, like, remove the almost 2 million people to be relocated, ? To countries, ? Like, first of all, has anyone agreed to this? Probably not. Second of all, what do the Palestinian people actually want? Nobody's asked them. And third of all, that's literally ethnic cleansing. Okay, like, that's literally like a non-starter. Okay, that's literally ethnic cleansing. Forcibly, because I don't see, like, how this could go any other way. But forcibly removing a group of people is literally definitionally ethnic cleansing, and that is against international law. Like, that's a non-starter. He says the fascism out loud. Exactly. And presumably he wants to build, like, some kind of resort there, ? It's just so frustrating.
Has said, even from Egypt and the foreign minister, not necessarily directly addressing, but instead
so freaking gross, man. That's so gross. Like, yeah, we're just gonna displace 1.something million people, 1.8 million people, out of their homes so that we can, like, build a resort there.
saying we will continue to rebuild Gaza. But across the Middle East, there is a real deep dissatisfaction and anger with what President Trump is proposing.
You know Trump went too far when he did something so morally reprehensible that both Iran and Saudi Arabia are on the same page about how bad it is. But it's not just the Middle East who condemned Trump's plans to annex Gaza. The rest of the world was also up in arms, including countries, by the way, that were complicit in the displacement of Gazans in the first place. Now, Jake Johnson of Common Dreams report...
Yeah, because it's literally, like, now we're not talking about, like, this, like, backroom freaking genocide, right? Like, it's just literally open ethnic cleansing. It's so much better to pretend to help them and keep arming Israel, am I right? He's disgusting and doesn't care either. Right, like, he only sees, like, what, beachfront property is what he referred to it as. He'll build a wonderful resort. It'll be beautiful, like nothing you've ever seen.
It's, quote, any forcible transfer in or deportation of people from occupied territory is strictly prohibited, Volker Turk, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said in a statement. Jake Johnson goes on to explain how France's foreign ministry warned that this would be a serious violation of international law, and Germany's foreign minister echoed that same claim, saying that it would be illegal, and added it would also lead to new suffering and new hatred, she warned. There's more. The UK's prime minister broke with Trump on this issue, and as Al Jazeera reports, other European leaders also condemned Trump's move, including Spain and Ireland. Turkey has condemned this move. Leaders in Canada have condemned this move. Brazil, Japan, Australia, international human rights organizations, they've all forcefully condemned this move. But there is one country that's with us, and of course, it's Israel. We are the state equivalents of Thelma and Louise, and both the United States and Israel are driving right off that fucking cliff. Spoilers, I know. Now, when you move away from the issue of Gaza, It's not lost on the rest of the world as well that Trump's quest for global conquest is contributing to our diminishing reputation. Panama is bracing for war because even though they're optimistic about striking a deal with Rubio, who they view as more reasonable, Trump doubled down on his military threat towards them. And we
Oxpecker. That's an interesting name. Thank you for the follow.
We haven't even touched on his threats to Greenland, as well as his threat to conduct military strikes in Mexico on cartels and the back and forth on tariffs with North American allies. And just to give you a sense of Trump's mentality,
just absolute chaos. That's what this is. It's just absolute, like, and this is on purpose, folks. It's to exhaust you, right? Like the whole shock and awe thing. It's to exhaust you, right? Because, like, man, this is all happening. It feels like it's been forever, but it's all been happening in the span of less than 1 month, okay? All of this has been happening in the span of less than 1 month.
So he was asked about Iran's alleged attempt to assassinate him, and just listen to his response to that.
Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That'd be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left.
Now, to be fair, I don't expect Donald Trump, or the United States for that matter, to do nothing if Iran were to do something like this. Because, of course, we're allowed to assassinate their officials with impunity, but they're not allowed to retaliate. But he says that he's given the orders to obliterate them, his word, to the point where there'd be nothing left. So I
like, what, glass the whole freaking place? I don't know, man. I love when that comment comes with the thank you.
Guess that means that all 89 plus million Iranians would presumably be murdered, even though they'd have no control over the actions of the perpetrator in that hypothetical situation.
Simple Minds, Alive and Kicking Tour 2025.
Now, I think that most people, with the limited time that we all have in this world, would want to leave it in a better place for their children and grandchildren. Trump, however, wants to leave it worse off. He'd want genocide and a potential world war to follow his demise.
Alive and kicking, yep. Speaking of, looked like Gutfeld was in that band. Speaking of, apparently Ozzy Osbourne is going to do his final curtain call July in the place where he was from, Birmingham, with not just making like a performance with himself, but also making a final appearance as with the members of Black Sabbath. I hope they stream that, because I would love to see that. That's literally, like, supposedly that's his last show. I know he's said that before, and then he comes out and he says that he will not stop until the last coffin is driven in, until last nail is driven in his coffin, and then he'll come out for an encore. But presumably that will be his last appearance. Don't you forget about me. I'll be alone. It's the last time he retires like Jordan, allegedly. Ozzy is a vegetable. I mean, he's still there. He just made a couple of new songs, didn't he? Like, not that long ago. And by not that long ago, I mean within, like, I would say definitely less than 5 years. Like, he's literally just made a couple songs. But he's still out there.
He thinks that his life is more valuable than the lives of 89 million Iranians. This is a truly demented, psychopathic mentality, and while I don't expect anyone to be happy about the prospect of their own assassination, obviously, it's certainly a choice to vocalize that comment, right? Not to mention, he's not a young man, So when eventually he passes away at some point, are we going to have to worry about his cultists concocting some conspiracy theory about how Iran was responsible even if they weren't? Will that lead to Republicans using his death as a justification to invade them one day? I mean, these are questions that we wouldn't have to entertain if America didn't elect so many fucking psychopaths. But this unhinged behavior...
Don't you forgot about me.
...is why the world is turning on us. We are becoming a pariah internationally, and rightfully so, because we pose the biggest threat to international peace and stability by far. We blatantly disregard international law and helped usher in a return to the days where might makes right. And to be fair, it's been this way for a really long time, not just Donald Trump, right? It's just that the facade has really slipped away now to the point where even Americans are beginning to see what the rest
and
of...
like also like this is something entirely different, folks. Like, you know, this is like a neo-fascist takeover that's we haven't really dealt with because of the technology. You know, because when we talk about fascism in historical times, you know, it's a you know, usually it's these guys walk and march with their armed goons and take over power by force, right? And like that's it. But what we're witnessing now is just something like it is an entirely evolved, different, you know, evolved monster, where like we have the richest person in the world plugged in to the nation's most critical systems, going around each governmental department and putting his goons in there, and it's just it's moving so quickly. The last thing that I was able to keep track of is that they're trying to get into, or they got into NOAA, the weather department. Sharon Osbourne gave my favorite metal band a much bigger spotlight. I could be lurking, but how could we ever know? Ha! Well, thank you, Bad Lefty. I appreciate it. I'm so ashamed of our shithole country and looking to get the F out. Don't blame you. My question is to Elon. My question to Elon is, why is he not investigating the Department of Defense? Right? No. Might find a little weird stuff if he does that with Starlink and SpaceX. We don't want to dig too deep into that.
Of the world has always seen, from Vietnam to Iraq to the Biden administration shielding Israel at the UN Security Council in defiance of international law. We have made it so that way international law means shit. It means nothing. The rules are dictated by the strongest, which is us.
And like that's the thing. Like I think people are realizing like just how freaking fragile this whole thing is, right? This entire system is based on like the honor system, okay? And like the moment somebody doesn't want to play, like it's over, it's done, right? Like, you know, the Supreme Court, it has a huge part to play in all this because they don't have an ethics code that is enforceable. They don't have an ethics code that's enforceable. They're the ones that allowed this to get as far as it has. The right-wing Trumper doesn't get it, and they think that Elon is some sort of genius who's going to save us. It's actually disgusting. It is, because like we're so screwed in so many different ways that like I mean, you know, we have not seen anything like this ever. We have not seen anything like this ever. Okay, like, you know, we've had the normal corruption. Okay. We've had your standard, like, okay, the wealthy people always donate, you know, and control party, and control party apparatuses by giving money through PACs and helping politicians get elected, and then those politicians presumably would, it would just happen to be very favorable to these corporations and wealthy people. Like, we've had that for forever and a half, right? Like, we've known about this. Citizens United came along and kind of burst open the dams on how much money companies can donate. And from there, it has just been downhill. And the Supreme Court, again, as I mentioned, is a huge part of this. They're the ones that ruled the way they did. They're the ones that said, you know what? Like, yeah, I guess corporations are people and can spend all this money in elections. And again, these are people that are A, not elected, and B, do not have any type of ethics codes that's enforceable at all. My coworker is a conspiracy theorist who watches Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. He thinks Elon's doing a good job. And my question to him was, didn't Alex warn you about the elites and you don't think Elon Musk is an elite? Yeah, right. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't have to make sense. Any of these, like, conspiracy brain people, you know, he's the right kind of elite. You know, he's he's wealthy. He's the wealthiest man on the planet, but, like, he's on our side. Okay, dude.
Conveniently. So if we say something is good, it's good because we make the rules, because we're the strongest. What are you going to do? Challenge us? We have all the weapons in the world. We're the biggest military, biggest economy. You can't do shit. That's why America can get away with all this. There's an effort right now to sanction the International Criminal Court by our politicians for daring to issue warrants for war criminals in Israel. That is how rogue we've become as a country. And the reality is that if we were not the largest economic and military superpower in the world, we would be cut off from the international community and we'd be sanctioned if Trump actually did follow through with his plan to annex Gaza. And to add insult to injury, we're not just the laughingstock of the world. Our politicians have their heads so far up their own asses that they actually think the evil things that our empire is doing makes them look good, to the point where they want to put their names on it. For example, after Trump announced his plan to take over Gaza, Republican Nancy Mace tweeted, "Let's turn Gaza into Mar-a-Lago," because I guess this is just one big fucking joke to them.
Like, that's so freaking disgusting, man. That's so freaking disgusting, man. So, like, just be tweeting. Just be tweeting about this. Like, that's just so disgusting. Yeah, this is why I hate the left, bro. You're all literally about being weak. No, you're just a fucking clown. Get out of here.
And I should note that there's at least one Democrat who supports this idea,
John Fetterman,
who blames Palestinians for their inability to govern and not the country that's occupying them. Now, this goes without saying, but these people are sick, sadistic sociopaths, and their presence in our government is a sign of our moral decay and indicative of the fact that the American empire is on its deathbed. Healthy countries don't elect politicians that openly relish in other people's pain and suffering. And the fact that there are so many other unhinged barbarians like Nancy Mace and John
like the chatter who was not who got immediately banned. Yeah, like that. What makes me think 21st century fascism is going to be its own undoing is that what it's always is that it always has to pretend it's a different ideology. Maybe, I mean, like fascism, just in by its nature, is always unravels. Okay, like fascism always by nature implodes. It's just a matter of like how much damage it does when it does, because fascism is a death cult. Okay, and eventually, it all comes to a head. My coworker brought up Soros because he always talks about terrible Soroses. I told him that we would just be upset if I'm about that. I would be just as upset as I am about Elon being in the treasury as I would be if it was Soros. Right, but like these people, well, I don't know about your coworker, but generally, like when the people that are feeding this media space talk about Soros, they're not talking about the guy, George Soros, right? Because then they would have to contend with people like Elon. What they actually mean, it's a dog whistle, a token, a placeholder for Jewish people, right? because again, it as you correctly point out, like it falls apart when you're like, well, Elon is like literally like 200 times as rich as Soros, right? Like George Soros, how much is actually George Soros? Like I know he's a couple billion, but like George Soros net worth, I guess we'll just use that. George Soros is $7.2 billion dollars, and Elon Musk is like 200 and something. Okay. Oh, never mind. Elon Musk is $406 billion. Okay. Globus, welcome. Having randos plug USB drives into sensitive computers is bad no matter who is doing it. It's how you get stuck next. Yeah. Yeah, like that whole thing is a disaster. Okay? Like if you know anything about security, like that is literally like IT nightmare. Like if you were to draft the perfect like internet security worker's nightmare, it would look something like that. Like how somebody was just given access to the most sensitive part or sensitive systems that you could possibly have, and being allowed to essentially do whatever you want, plug in whatever. I mean, like that is like the nightmare scenario, right? Because like, who are these people? Like these people were never vetted. Did Elon Musk spent the time and the questioning that it takes to obtain the security clearance to be able to access the type of stuff that he was able to access in the Treasury? No. Did the 19 to 24-year-olds that he brought in take the time? Because usually security clearances take a long time to get. The type of security clearances that would be required to even be near those type of systems take months. They take months to get. Okay? None of those people have any like remote like qualifications to be there at all. I work at a car dealership and our security is so strong that I can't download the software to update my key cutter.
Betterman, it's so much more than an international embarrassment, right? It's not just that I'm embarrassed to be an American because of the way our politicians act. It's a plague upon the entire fucking human race. That's how despicable I find this. But we've fallen so far as a nation that politicians have the audacity to defend ethnic cleansing on national TV with no pushback, by the way.
I think he's telling the Middle East that the last 50 years of doing things was not a correct way of doing things, and that he's going to change it up because all of those iterations have not worked. He's also telling the Middle East that he wants to be transparent with the Palestinian people. Gaza today is uninhabitable and will probably be uninhabitable for at least the next 10 to 15 years. That's how much work has to be done there.
Are other countries in the region, Steve, because you have been, deep into the negotiations on all sides, are they willing to step up, help this population and rebuild the area and demilitarize it?
I think everybody wants to see peace in the region, Sean. And peace in the region means a better life for the Palestinians. A better life is not necessarily tied to the physical space that you're in today. A better life is about a better opportunity, better financial conditions, better aspirations for you and your family.
Just so we're clear, you heard Trump's Middle East envoy explicitly make the case for ethnic cleansing on national television. And I'm assuming that most of the baboon-brained boomers who were tuning in didn't even think anything of it. But this shouldn't be a surprise to any of us, as disgusting as it is, since politicians and public figures have spent the last year or so defending a fucking Holocaust in Gaza. So I guess to them, they actually think that they're being humane by ejecting all Gazans from their homes. These people are such fucking monsters, and there just aren't words to articulate how gross they are. But let's look at another clip where a Fox News propagandist is going to actually describe Trump's conquests as bold ideas, and then a GOP congressman is going to spin said bold ideas in an attempt to sane-wash them.
This is actually wild. Like, actually wild, man. Hey, listen, folks, if you ever want to know, like, what, if you ever want to get, like, a glimpse as to what Nazi Germany looks like, or a real, like, IRL POV of Nazi Germany, like, this is kind of like what we're watching, right? Like, we are excusing and pushing and sane washing, ethnic cleansing at not just like for Palestinian people, but like for anyone that is deemed not American, if you catch my drift. Thank you, Heat, for taking care of that. Thank you.
Trump's bold ideas are just happening with such a rapid pace. It's unbelievable.
Bold ideas like ethnic cleansing, just happening at a rapid pace. I wonder why. I wonder why it needs to happen at such a rapid pace. Don't Google how long it took for Hitler to completely take over Germany.
Greenland to the Panama
It took about 2 months, just saying.
Canal to the Iron Dome that he wants in America to now the U.S. potentially taking over the Gaza Strip. I want to get your take on all of this. Do you really believe that the U.S. can achieve taking over the Gaza Strip, even as you've got other regional countries saying, well, we need a two-state solution?
Well, first and foremost, the two-state solution has been something that they always talk about at the UN or any model UN class in any high school in America. But it is not functionally possible. Who is Israel supposed to actually negotiate? The Palestinian Authority? I don't think so, because their leadership is significantly older and there's no clear line of transition to who's going to take over next. So you can't cut a deal with them. I think that what President Trump is talking about is working with Israel and other allies and friends in that region in order to clean Gaza up under U.S. leadership. Not
flag.
Direct U.S. decision making, but U.S. leadership.
Okay. What do you mean by cleaning up? What do you mean by cleaning up? Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what bold is one word for it.
First of all, that's not what he said. He said he's going to take over Gaza, which implies annexation. Second of all, if politicians wanted to clean Gaza up, they could start by not supplying Israel with the bombs that they're using to dirty Gaza, if that's the analogy that we're going with. We're about to send them another $1 billion of our tax dollars for bombs and bulldozers. So if you really want to clean up Gaza, why not start that process right now? See, Byron Donalds is full of shit. He is one of hundreds of politicians that has repeatedly voted to fund the destruction of Gaza. So for him to talk about it as if a storm or some inexplicable tragedy hit Gaza is pretty fucking patronizing. Gaza was deliberately destroyed. You gave Israel the bombs to do it, you murderous piece of shit. So fuck you and fuck all of your colleagues who have blood on their hands too. And I can't stress enough.
All of them have blood on their hands. All of them. All of them. We're the ones that sold the weapons that caused mass destruction. We're the ones that sold the weapons that literally leveled entire neighborhoods. We're the ones that sold the weapons that literally wiped entire families off the planet. I'm not talking about like, you know, a family like inside a house. I'm talking about an entire family lines are literally gone. So yeah, I just straight up said it.
How morally reprehensible the prospect of cleaning Gaza up for other people to live is. Like, that's their fucking homes. Nobody else has a right to it, nor should they be told that they're not allowed to go back to their homes. And MSNBC's reporter that we heard from at the beginning, she actually made a really amazing point, and she talked to Gazans, and they explained why this is our fucking homes, and it's important to us. We want it. You don't get to tell us to leave.
We can't leave our homes. How you dare? How dare you to say you should leave your homes? We can't. This is Palestine, and we Palestinians are the only ones who have the right to live here and never to leave it.
We will never leave our town. Palestine for us, this is never changing.
I mean, there are people live there. There is Gazan civilians who lives in Gaza. I don't understand the idea of just taking over.
Richard is right, is that it feels as if Donald Trump is forgetting about history. One of the reasons why Hamas, Mika, came into power in 2006 is because Hamas essentially promised infrastructure, right? They promised schooling, they promised food, they promised aid. The person, the people, the organizations, the country that will win.
Donald Trump doesn't know and doesn't care and is not going to get bothered by any of this, right? Like, that's kind of the problem. Doesn't matter if it violates international law. It doesn't matter if it's morally reprehensible. It doesn't matter if we're literally spending billions of dollars and we still don't have health care. None of that matters. They remember 48, they'll never leave. Resistance never dies.
The hearts and the minds, for instance, of the Palestinians remaining on their land will be the people that are providing them with the infrastructure, the aid, the food, the water that they desperately need, and the infrastructure, for instance, to rebuild. I just want to say one final thing, right? As we were looking to Los Angeles and the wildfires that happened there in the Palisades, you saw major destruction and people were incredibly upset over losing their personal belongings and their homes. But it was really about the community, right? The churches, the schools, the coffee shops in which so many of them convene. These Gazans have walked, marched, driven thousands of miles, right, back to their homes in North Gaza after this ceasefire to commune in rubble because this is their homeland. This is where they want to remain, not because of the structures in which they have lived in, Mika, but because of the community they have been surrounded by, the families and the people they know. And that, it seems, is something that is being lost by both the president of the United States along with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah, it's not being lost on anyone. They just don't care. They just don't care.
Mika.
And that right there is what these politicians will never understand because they don't have the emotional capacity to love. Their hearts are cold and their souls are dead. So they have no way of empathizing with Palestinians in Gaza or any other human being for that matter. And they simply can't comprehend how someone's homeland isn't just about geography, but it's also about community and identity and the collective struggle. And the reason why it's so hard for them to comprehend this is because they are sociopaths. And I'm not using that term as a pejorative. I think these people are literally sociopaths in the clinical sense of the word. And side note, I've got to say, I'm really pleased to see this segment on MSNBC, specifically Morning Joe, because back when Biden was president and students were protesting his complicity with genocide, Morning Joe went out of their way to smear those students.
Tell us about this change.
Yeah, so when we entered Hamilton Hall, this is not what students bring to school. Okay, this is what professionals bring to campuses and universities.
Don't think so. As a matter of fact, that bike chain was sold by the university, you dumbass dipshits. But hey, I'm happy to see this sudden change of coverage. Welcome to the resistance again, Joe and Mika. But don't think that we've forgotten or will ever forget the role that you played in whitewashing this genocide and attacking people brave enough to speak out against it. Again,
Morning Joe is bad. Like, it's literally unwatchable. I don't think I could actually sit down and watch Morning Joe because, like, I might just, like, throw something through the TV.
I'm happy to see you change your tone now that Donald Trump is president, but genocide should not be a partisan issue. And the fact that it is...
Yeah, and, like, it will never... That will never wash away. That will never wash away. Like, the stuff that was said on these programs, like, that's forever, man. Not gonna lie, that segment was surprisingly good for Morning Joe. Yeah, sure. That doesn't take away from that. It's just like, dude, you know, kind of shows me who you are, right? Like, it seems, how do I put this? Not that the Gazan people shouldn't have been heard, because that was good that they put those segments on so that people could actually listen to real people in Gaza. Right? Like, I'm not diminishing that, but like, you're flip-flopping on an issue that isn't really flip-floppable, if I may invent that word, if I may invent that terminology, is noted, Morning Joe. well, maybe I think the actual word I'm looking for is, I feel like you're not being very, very honest with us, Morning Joe, and I feel like it's a little bit opportunistic.
To you, presumably, speaks to your immorality.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, I just have to stop for a moment and point out that, like, I shouldn't have to explain why genocide is bad. I should be talking about healthcare and high-speed rail, but instead, I feel like I'm forced to teach Ethics 101 to our caveman-ass politicians and pundits, although...
Yeah, flexible morals, exactly. Genocide was fine under Biden, Joe, and Mika.
Cavemen probably had a better sense of morality than the politicians and pundits that, we have today. So, yeah, it's just frustrating. But as hopeless as things are, I don't think that you should give up. And I hope that my frustration doesn't make you feel like, oh, it's too bleak and we should give up. In fact, people around the country are mobilizing and organizing peaceful protests. And the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is already softening Trump's stance, saying that it's not necessarily annexation we're talking about per se, rather it's an offer. Now, whether or not Trump comes out and contradicts.
Yeah, so that 50-51 protest, I'm really proud of people that showed up. I'm really proud of the folks that showed up in your state capital and made your voices heard, because now more than ever, it is important that we be ready to protest and show that fascism is not going to have an easy time here. The religious right accelerationism, the temple will not be built. They think that their God will come from the heavens.
Contradicts him, that's something that we'll have to wait and see. But listen to what he had to say.
Gaza has been severely damaged. If you look at
By whom? By whom? How did that happen? How did Gaza become, quote, severely damaged? I think that's kind of important.
the aerial imagery, you see what's happening.
Yeah. How? By whom? Who's dropping the bombs? Who is leveling entire neighborhoods? How did they obtain those bombs? Who sold it to them? Yeah, magic, apparently. It just, it's just destroyed Gaza. Just, we blinked and there it was.
The billions of dollars that are going to be required for reconstruction are enormous.
And whose fault is that? And who should foot the bill for that?
Some areas have been rendered unlivable. Now,
why? Yeah, great question. Time to invest in bulldozer futures. Yeah, why? Why have some areas been deemed unlivable? Can we elaborate on that real quick?
For the foreseeable future. And so what President Trump announced yesterday is the offer, the willingness of the United States to become responsible for the reconstruction of that area.
Well, we'll see what Trump has to say about that, because Trump has repeatedly doubled down on the insanity and contradicted Marco Rubio after he tried to minimize Trump's...
Bro, come on, man. Don't try to tell people that we would actually be willing to foot the bill to rebuild Gaza. Come on, man. You don't give a flying F about any of those people, okay? Just 5 seconds ago, yeah, I'm exaggerating, but just not that long ago, we sent another $1 billion, okay? So, yeah. Just to be clear, wizards? So yes, they are wizards.
It's insane.
You can go back and check me. October 8th, I said the whole thing is a real estate deal. Yeah.
But I love how they're finally admitting that Gaza has become uninhabitable.
Ever wondered what it feels like to fly over the world in stunning 3D?
No, I haven't, actually.
With just one click.
I mean, this is what we have been saying to you for more than a year. And as things continue to get worse, politicians like Marco Rubio refused to stop making them worse. He refused to stop sending Israel the bombs that they were using to drop on the heads of children in Gaza. And when he was confronted about his complicity with genocide from activists, look at his smug-ass fucking response.
Are you filming it? I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes. and I hope you guys post that.
Hey, fuckface. What ended up happening was the IDF terrorists who you gave the bombs to ended up destroying every element of Gaza that they got their hands on, not Hamas.
Right, because, like, that's who they think Hamas is. It's everywhere. Like, that's what, like, well, I don't want to say that he doesn't know, because Marco Rubio knows. As part of being, like, a United States senator, I'm sure he's privy to, a lot of information. And now being where he is, he knows. He knows. He knew and he knows.
Hamas is still very much a thing. And if Israel is ever able to get rid of Hamas, then Hamas too will emerge shortly thereafter, because there's going to be a lot of angry, pissed off, radicalized people who are going to want revenge for the deaths of their family members.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's literally, like, entire freaking family lines that have just been, like, gone. Okay, they're gone. These people are animals. No, you're a demon, Rubio. Yep, and he knows, man. He knows exactly what he's doing. Okay,
now,
like, Rubio's one of those people that are, like, seriously, genuinely sick freaks. Okay, like, we're talking, like, genuine sociopath. Like he could look at, like, the entire population of Gaza being wiped out and, like, not have a freaking human reaction to it. He's 100% knows and doesn't give a damn, because he is the animal. He's a neocon, but nobody has to be. Yep. Like, he can literally watch, like, live footage of Gaza just being razed to the ground, and he'll make no human response. No human emotion there.
Positive note, I guess. It's a little encouraging to see Democrats finally speak out against what's happening in Gaza after funding their destruction for more than a year now. You know, looking for the silver lining where I can find it. And I'm even pleased to see some Republicans speak out against Trump, even if their criticism is tepid at best. For example, Rand Paul tweeted, "I thought that we voted for America first." Yeah, well, I mean, what are you going to do about it, Rand? You going to invoke the War Powers Act or hold him accountable in any way?
Nope. None of them are. Like, this is the situation where, like, that's really kind of, like, that's really grinding my gears about everything, is that, like, the one mechanism that exists to hold these people accountable of what they're doing, right? Like, not just because of, like, all the international law that they violated and are violating, but the stuff that's happening here domestically. It's Congress, right? And Congress is nowhere to be found. And the Senate voted for him almost unanimously. Exactly. Marco Rubio, Discusano has me angry or violent, very angry. Marco Rubio, yeah, it makes me very angry. Yeah, I mean, he should. Like, just listening to him talk makes me freaking angry.
Tweet? Don't think so. Additionally, Politico reports that GOP lawmakers like Tom Tillis are confused by his plan to take over Gaza. Okay, great. They're confused. I mean, why don't you take his dick out of your mouth for a second and just call it what it is? It's a war crime. I mean, all these lawmakers are like 95 years old and they're worrying about re-election, so they don't want to offend Donald Trump and his cult base. Have a fucking spine for once in your life. I mean, I say that as if they're opposed to what Trump is doing, but in actuality, most of them support it ideologically and
and it doesn't matter even if they don't, because, like, if they fold, right? Like, if they fold to their base, then, like, it doesn't matter if they actually believe, or if they actually support Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They still vote for him. They still, on paper, they still vote for his agenda. So yeah, whether or not they actually agree or disagree or are very concerned, they're sternly concerned about the president and, like, I didn't vote for this. I voted for America first. Yeah, well, you know what? It doesn't matter. Rand Paul, if you're not doing anything about it, then, like, why even bother to just wag your finger? Okay, language.
Politically. Now, I'm sorry I said that was a more positive note, but it's just so hard to be optimistic at all when the situation is so bleak, and the best pushback that we get from Democrats are objections on procedural grounds and Republicans politely pointing out that this
America first, my ass. Zachap, welcome. I voted for Kodos.
Seems a little bit antithetical to his America First message. I mean, he doesn't care about decorum or procedure or the Constitution. He doesn't care if saying one thing and doing another makes him look like a hypocrite. He doesn't care. He's using his power. And the people who have power that Americans also gave power to need to wake up and use their power to stop him. Because guess what? He's not a king. He can't do whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, apparently he can. Apparently he can. And that's the whole effed situation about this, right? Like, apparently he can. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally what the Supreme Court said. People have to go into the streets, not sure, because they would love to use violence on them. Yeah, but we also can't be afraid, right? Like, nah, we're past, folks. Let me tell you, like, the Rubicon has been crossed. And this is week 3.
Is it really that unreasonable to expect politicians to use the power that we gave them? I mean, it seems like the only people capable of actually wielding power and getting things done are the most evil ones, with no remorse for the pain and suffering that they're causing. I mean, why can't the less bad politicians be as effective or even half as effective as the most evil ones? It's so frustrating. But that right there is the state of American politics. We are an international laughingstock, and we absolutely deserve to be.
There you go. All right.
They're trying to look between you people. Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
I am the king. I will punish you.
Any man who must say, I am the king, is no true king.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, so we're going to speed run through some of these because I got to get going in a bit. Don't you dare. What a baby. Yep. Judge temporarily blocks Trump's federal government employee buyout. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration and Doge head Elon Musk from implementing their fork in the road federal employee buyout offer until at least Monday afternoon. The U.S. District Judge George O'Toole Jr. set a Monday afternoon hearing to consider blocking the buyout offer further. I heard it was fake anyway. It's on dubious legal grounds. Like, it's on very dubious legal grounds. So yeah, the people. Just to be clear, like the people, be aware that this guy is not known for making good on his promises. So if it was me, I wouldn't take that buyout. Like, they never had any intention of paying out and there was no system to do so. Right. So, yeah, knowing who this guy is, knowing he has a massive history of not paying people, the last thing that I want to do is accept like a like promise to be paid for what, almost like half a year in advance from a guy that doesn't pay his like contractors. Nah, I wouldn't take that. It's already like as it is based on some very the basis that this is on is very dubious, but also just who it's coming from. Nah, I wouldn't trust that at all. I enjoined the defendants from taking any action to implement the, quote, so-called fork directive, pending the completion of briefing and oral arguments on this issue, said O'Toole. I believe that's as far as I want to go today. The judge described the hearing, brief hearing, as a table-setting session just to schedule arguments for Monday. He did not say anything about the merits of the dispute over the buyout. Lawyers for the Department of Justice said they would notify every federal employee who is subject to the buyout. More than 2 million federal employees have faced a midnight Thursday deadline to accept the Trump administration's deferred resignation offer, as O'Toole considered an 11th hour request to block the buyout from moving forward. Three union representatives, a combined of 800,000 federal civil servants, argue that the offer is unlawful, arbitrary, and would result in a dangerous 1-2 punch to the federal government. That's the idea. The judge set the Thursday afternoon hearing to consider a request by 3 federal unions to issue a temporary restraining order that would suspend Thursday's deadline for the buyout and require the Office of Personnel of Management to provide a legal basis for the unprecedented offer, which offered to continue to pay federal employees through September 30th of 2025 if they resign by Thursday at 11:59. First, the government will lose expertise in the complex fields and programs that Congress has, by statute, directed the executive to faithfully implement, the lawsuit said. And second, when vacant positions become politicized, this administration seeks to do so, partisanship is elevated over the ability and truth, and to the detriment of agency missions and the American people. The judge's ruling comes as 40,000 workers, roughly 2% of the civilian federal workforce, has already accepted the resignation offer to leave the federal government since last week. 3 unions, the American Federation of Government Employees, the National Association of Government Employees, and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, argue that the OPM violates the Administrative Procedure Act by failing to provide a legal basis for the buyout offer and leaving open the possibility that the government might not follow through with the buyout once the federal employees agree to resign. Right, so yeah. As SB Harkin said, there's not a lot of legal basis here to work with. The lawsuit added that the buyout's promise through September violates the law because the current appropriations for federal agencies expires in March. Moreover, the buyout is unfair because it was made alongside a threat of future layoffs. So, yeah. Currently, this is where we're at with that buyout. We'll see what happens, as this is going to court on Monday. So I'm sure we'll get more updates on that. So if you want to get, did they say 20K took the option? I think 40K. It was 40K. So if you want to like kind of grasp the severity of what is happening here, and why I say that like this is a unprecedented kind of way of how this is happening. Republicans block Musk from congressional subpoena as Doge continues to access government data. So the Doge team, which is A, not an official government agency, by the way, that is established by Congress. And B, now that some Democrats have tried to bring Elon Musk in, Republicans are defending this. Okay, though, like I was trying to say earlier, because this is what I was actually thinking about earlier, is that like the one body that has the ability to stop all of this is Congress, because that's literally their job. Their job is not just as a legislative part of government, but they're also part of the 3 co-equal branches of government, each meant to do checks and balances. Okay? If that fails, then the whole thing is done. It's done. All right. America had a great run. That's it. It's over. It's GG. Okay? Because we're not talking about, even like whatever faux semblance of democracy that you think America had, is just no longer, right? Because if the judicial system is corrupt, if the legislative branch, who also has the power of oversight, is not doing that, and the executive is just running wild, then it's done. We don't have what you would even begin to consider a democracy, or even a representative democracy. You have what is effectively a authoritarian regime. Pienso que deberías estar en este punto. Hacemos una demostración a demócratas, oficina central, porque son el problema ahora en todo esto. So he's saying that that we should be protesting the Democrats. Would I presume to do something? Are we supposed to be happy about the end of America? Oh my goodness. I mean, like, listen, I don't really particularly care about the particularly care about the fate of America as a concept. I just care that, like, what fascism means to the real people on the ground. That's what I care about. Like, if America ends tomorrow, then so be it. I don't care. The people will still be here, right? So yeah. I'm taking copious notes on my kid's second grade history homework. We're studying the Constitution. This is actually a perfect like kind of lesson here, when it comes to like the separation of powers, and what that means as far as how government works. Yeah, the vulnerable ones will be the ones that are suffering. Yeah, it's failed at this point. It's GG in my opinion. An influx of ex-government employees becoming Twitch streamers is going to be funny, at least. For sure, they can all become Twitch streamers with us. Yeah, there you go. As Elon Musk continues to dismantle government agencies, threaten workers with layoffs, and gain access to government data, congressional Republicans on Wednesday blocked Democratic efforts to compel him to answer for his actions under oath. I live here and people I care about rely on the institutions for survival, so I have concerns. Right. Like, that's literally exactly it. That's literally exactly it. It's like, I don't care. You know, call it America, call it whatever. I don't care. It's the domino effects and the real human beings that are inevitably going to be affected by this. That I'm concerned about. Exactly. Modern problems require modern solutions. Innocent people will die. That's true. At the same time, protests demanding accountability have continued. Musk, who has not made any public appearances since the inauguration, has publicly called for slashing federal government spending, and through his, again, non-government organization, Doge, has frozen funds. Like, this is just wild. Like, this is just wild. This is wild. How a non-governmental agency, right, is doing this. This is completely beyond. Like, right now, for all intents and purposes, the Constitution doesn't matter, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, the Constitution is no longer. The way we think about American politics and how the relationship between the supposed three branches is no longer. Did you hear about Trump saying something about anti-Christian stuff? Not surprised. I mean, I would imagine that he would want to, like, arrest those people or something. I don't know. Elon, the free speech warrior, has threatened to ban anyone who tweets against the Trump regime. Yeah. Elon in jail. I hope so. He literally belongs in jail. Like, Elon literally belongs in jail. I'm sure James Madison implied that Doge was going to be a thing somewhere in that document. Yeah. Right, it's right there under right there underneath the Declaration of Independence. When the MAGA start patting away, maybe things will change. Maybe. Designated a special government employee by the White House, Musk claims he has been checking with President Trump about his tactics. It doesn't matter. Passing away. For some reason, I thought about something else. But yeah, that tracks. Elon for prison. Yep. Claims he has been checking with President Trump about his tactics. It doesn't matter. The executive can't do this. The executive has no power to stop funding for things that were allocated by Congress. If Congress doesn't step in, which clearly the Republicans are not interested in stepping in and stopping this, then Congress, for all intents and purposes, is useless. Congress is done. There's no point. Lock up Elon in the Guantanamo Bay. I went over it with him in detail and agreed that we should shut it down, said Musk about his effort to curtail USAID. USAID. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the president thinks, okay? If Congress says that 10 cents needs to go to USAID, then 10 cents needs to go to USAID. If Congress says we need 200 million for McDonald's cheeseburgers, okay, and they allocate 200 million for the efforts of bringing in 200 cheeseburgers from McDonald's, then that's what needs to be done, okay? Elon Minge, Twatsi, crypto fascist. When he was so excited and gave us that tasteful salute, I knew he'd taken the wheel of the country. Yeah, because I guess there's no point in hiding it, right? At that point, there's no reason to hide it, because what are you going to do, right? Trump says he's never asked God for forgiveness because he's never done anything wrong. Trump sold us to Elon. Yep, for a small price of what, 277 million is what he donated to his account, to his whatchamacallit? To his campaign. Thanks for making that easy for me to understand. Yeah, so as far as like yeah, for a cheap price considering what he's worth. Yeah, so the problem here is like the breakdown of how the three branches of government function and how effectively like now it's just fascism. The executive who holds the power of the purse that's just not a thing anymore. The legislative branch who holds the oversight, the power of oversight, that's not happening anymore. And the judiciary is nowhere to be found. A bargain. His net worth has gone up to 100 billion since great return on investment. Yep, for the cost of 2,000 Cybertrucks. Lobbying in this economy. On Wednesday, more than 100 people protested in front of the Department of Labor, which they said that it's Musk's latest target. Organized by AFL-CIO, Democratic lawmakers, and other federal employee groups, demonstrators held signs saying nobody elected Musk, Elon owns Trump, and checks and balances. Elon is Elizabeth Holmes. David Casserly, a Department of Labor staffer, told ABC News' Jay O'Brien that what Musk is doing is not a good thing for the American people, and he had a question for the 77 millions who voted for Donald Trump. Is this what you voted for? Is this what you really want? Some unelected billionaire coming in and decided to cut things that he never heard of until yesterday. Yeah, but like that's the thing though. Like these people think that this is a good thing. A lot of these people, this is part of the problem, right? Like if you ever want to know the IRL POV as to what happened in Nazi Germany, like man, we're living through it. A lot of these people absolutely have no idea. A lot of these people actually think it's a good idea for those that are kind of like being like spoon-fed from right-wing media. They think it's a good idea. Okay? They think it's a good idea. Because of like, I don't know, reducing federal expenditure because inflation, right? Like it's not only just ignorance, but it is a huge part. Representative Gary Connolly, the top Democrat on House Oversight, tore into Musk at a hearing he moved to subpoena the controversial billionaire. Controversial? Sure. Quote, it's a puzzling role for many people, certainly on this side of the aisle, and I think are some of yours, who is this unelected billionaire that he can attempt to dismantle federal agencies, fire people, transfer them, offer them early retirement, and have sweeping changes to agencies without any congressional review, oversight, or concurrence. Republicans on the committee pushed back and engaged in a shouting match with Democrats over Musk. When GOP Chairman Representative James Comer put the subpoena motion to a vote, it failed along party lines. Democrats Representative Ro Khanna, who has shown support for Doge in the past, abstained from voting. Yeah, that's kind of sucks, man. Ro Khanna is like one of the few, like, as far as like the milquetoast Democrats, he's like actually one of the better ones. And like that's freaking sad. On Musk dismissed Democrats' efforts to force him to testify. How is this reality, Lamau? Like, yeah, dude, I'm just like going around dismantling democracy one agency at a time. I'm just like literally single-handedly torpedoing the entire United States government. But like, how is this reality that people want to bring me in for questioning, Lamau? Like, dude, seriously. Guillotines. I mean, you know, if push comes to shove, like, you know, we're gonna get we're gonna get that French Revolution freaking vibes. Okay. He thought they could have open dialogue with Musk, but obviously the agenda is annihilation. Yeah, it's Jover. Comer and other Republicans came to Musk and Doge's defense, contending without evidence that the federal government was wasting taxpayer dollars and those agencies needed to be reviewed and scaled back. That is not the purview of a unelected, non-governmental person. That is your job. That is Congress's job. Congress is the one that allocates said taxpayer dollars. If Congress feels like there's a waste, then Congress should sit down and figure it out and say, we're not going to allocate any more money towards X, Y, or Z. Elon Musk trimmed the fat on X. Yeah, and we've seen how that turned out. Hey, real quick, what's the value of Twitter right now? And how awesome is the experience on Twitter, right? The everything app. Since Elon took it over. And we had the chance to do the same here. Comer said about Musk's deep cuts to social media at the social media giant. Musk's $44 billion purchase in Twitter has been seen by some business elements as unsuccessful investment at the company's value has gone down sharply over the years, with users and advertisers dropping the platform. The mutual fund Fidelity marked down its estimated X value at 78.7% at the end of August. Jesus Christ. That's what we want to do here. And just to be clear, like these Republicans saying that this is like we want the government to be run as a business. No, that's not how this works. Government is not a business. You should not be running government like a business because it's not a business. It's a public service. Okay? Jesus Christ. Only Twatter. Only twats use Twitter now. So who would get the profits? Right, because like there shouldn't be profits. Normally there isn't. Like government isn't there as a business to make money. Right? Government is there to provide services. Like say the United States Postal Service. Right? It's not called the business of post or like the postal company. Right? It's called the Postal Service. Because you're not there, it's not meant to be a money-making machine. It's meant to provide a service. Twatter. The value of Twitter, the quote value of Twitter doesn't matter. It's a propaganda and stochastic terrorism tool, and it has been very effective at that. True. Perhaps that's why Elon Musk doesn't really care if it loses all its value or you know because it's not really I think you're right, it's not about the money. All right, I've been putting Elon as X, not Z. Hitler X. There you go. I've got one more in me. So let's just finish this off. He normalizes hate Nazis, shutting down free speech with it. Yep. Musk's Doge, again, not a government agency, access to U.S. Medicare and Medicaid systems. Cool. Representative of Elon's the Doge has been working at the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, where they were granted access to agency systems and technology. CMS oversees Medicare, the health insurance program for older and disabled Americans, and Medicaid for low-income enrollees. Now, just to be clear, like a lot of what's happening behind the scenes, what Musk is trying to do is he's trying to put all these agencies through an AI, which presumably means that he needs to put that information. He needs to feed that information somewhere, right? Who is holding those servers? How is that, quote, AI that he wants to deploy getting its information? So, like, this is just like the nightmare beyond nightmares scenario. This chat is so amazing, y'all. The reason I'm able to stay sane in this chaos. Well, thank you, Dan Anonymously, and thank you for the other kind comment. Thank you. I appreciate it. CMS has 2 senior agency veterans, one focused on policy and one focused on operations, who are leading the collaboration with Doge, including ensuring appropriate access to CMS systems and technology. Musk, the world's richest man, has been tasked by President Trump to identify fraud and waste in government. Musk has, in a matter of days, been able to exert unprecedented control. Yeah, like that's one way of saying, like, bro just staged a soft coup and won. In days, to be able to exert unprecedented control over America's 2.2 million member federal workforce and begin a dramatic reshaping of government. Yeah, I mean, like, that's probably like the nicest way of saying, like, bro just staged a soft coup and won. We're taking a, quote, thoughtful approach to see where there may be opportunities for more effective and efficient use of resources in line with meeting the goals of President Trump. CMS regularly deals with improper payments that represent fraud or abuse, but might also be due to a state contractor or provider missing an administrative step. Excuse me. The development was first reported on Wednesday by the Wall Street Journal, which, citing people familiar with the matter, said Doge representatives have gained access to key payment and contracting systems. The representatives have been on site at the agency's office this week and are looking at technology on which the system runs, as well as spending that flows through them, with a focus on pinpointing what they consider, quote, fraud or waste, according to the report. Doge representatives are also examining the agency's organizational design and how it is staffed, which, again, like, who are you again? Question mark. Like, last time I checked, all this was established by Congress. Where's Anonymous when you need them? True. Referencing the Wall Street Journal report, Musk, without providing any evidence, said this is where the big money fraud is happening. Cool. Are we ever going to see... Like, we don't even know what's happening at the Treasury, okay? We still don't know what's happening at the Treasury. What information exactly did these people have access to? And what did they do with that information? Go in the system and express $1 million to each social security number. That would be nice. I wish Akaime could shut them down. Time for pitchforks. Yeah. Well, if this continues, it'll be inevitable. If this continues, it'll be inevitable. Not when, but if. It's not if, but when. When asked about Doge accessing CMS payments and contracting systems, representative for the White House did not address specifics, but defended Musk and Doge's overall actions, saying they were fulfilling Trump's commitment to make the federal government more accountable, question mark. So what's going on? Like, if it was actually about federal government accountability, like, then tell us what's happening. Tell us what's happening at the Treasury. One of the systems accessed by Doge representatives, the Wall Street Journal reported, is a CMS acquisition lifecycle management system, which includes information about contracts. When and how. The report, yeah, exactly. The report, citing one of the people familiar with Doge's work at CMS, said that Musk's allies have not been given access to the database, which includes identifiable personal health information of Medicare or Medicaid enrollees. Doge's access is, quote, read-only, meaning that its affiliates cannot make changes to the systems. The U.S. Treasury said on Tuesday that Musk's team has been granted read-only access to its payment system codes, but denied that it's cut off any government payments, including those of Social Security and Medicare. We don't actually know how much access they have. We don't actually know how much access they were actually given. For all we know, they've already copied everything to their own private systems, and doing God knows what with that information. So we don't know. And any attempts to subpoena this guy and have him answer questions under oath, not happening. Not happening because Republicans said so. The J6ers are yahoos. Their brains are on the left. All right, folks. It's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you. Thank you to Cosmopolitics, and thank you to Tina for rating. If you're here from those communities, again, thank you for hanging out, and thank you for staying. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out, okay? And if you enjoy the content, we're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to keep up with the channel, join the Discord, folks. See you next week. Thank you. Join the Discord. It's the best way to keep up with the channel. Subscribe to the Substack, folks. And if you want to support the channel directly, some of you have thrown some biddies my way. Thank you. If you want to support the channel directly, consider checking out the merch store and hitting that exclamation mark tip to support the channel directly. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ladybug. I appreciate it. Thank you to the YouTube crew. Keep liking the stream, subscribe, do the awesome stuff. And go follow Cosmopolitics. Please go check her stream out. The same with Tina. Thank you both. Thank you for the raids, and thank you for bringing all these wonderful people. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I'm making the sign and putting it in front of Akame headquarters. Stop Doge. Thank you all. I'm going to head out and get some food. Let's go to... okay. I think I know where we're going to go. Thank you guys for stopping by. Spread the word far and wide that we're here Monday through Thursday. We're one of the chillest places to be for the news and for the politics. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, Monday, about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye. Thank you.